Good morning. I'm making green beans this morning, so I'm starting out the day here in Rosemary Beach making some green beans, and these green beans are going to take care of me for the rest of the week. I already have some made in the refrigerator. I posted a video last night talking about all that I brought, so if you didn't catch that, I have that just from last night, talking about how to come home healthy from your vacation. But I am making what is just frozen cut green beans. So I buy organic whenever I buy green beans because I don't want any pesticides. So I never make the exception for certain foods. I always get organic. And in St. Louis, you can get organic in so many locations now. You can get them at Costco, you can get them at Aldi. There's just so many different opportunities to get something organic and to not have to necessarily overpay. For years, the only place that you could buy something organic was at Whole Foods. But now you can get it just about anywhere. So I wouldn't make the exception if you have the opportunity, just because something like a green bean is really going to be heavily sprayed just to try to keep from having too many bugs on it. So you don't want to get those pesticides in your body. I've spent years trying to rid my body of all those toxins and having to go to different doctors and take different supplements to try to get toxicity out of my body. So I don't want to add it. So I have several things going here. I've got 2 skillets. One of them is covered right now. These are my R-Place skillets. And I have a link attached because I have so many clients that will message, or so many people that will watch on Facebook and message me right away, like, what pan are you using? So I've just sort of decided to get smart, and I'm just going to tell you what pan I'm using, and I'm going to give you a link to that pan to make this easier. But these are called R-Place pans, and these are non-toxic pans. So what I do is I actually thaw out my green beans. Now, there's been plenty of times where I haven't had the opportunity to thaw out my green beans. So I throw them in there frozen. Okay, so it's not a big deal. You can throw them in there frozen. I do not bake a frozen green bean. I would put them in a glass container and microwave them first before I would bake them. But if I'm sauteing them, I have no problem putting them in there frozen. I just don't feel like they bake the same or taste the same. So I had my lid on this because I use my frozen green beans as an ice pack on my way here. So I had an entire cooler full of frozen green beans, and that ended up ultimately being my ice pack for my travel. So today they're thawed, but in order to save me a little bit of time on the cooking, I put that lid on just for about 5 minutes and let all that kind of cook down. And so the color on this is going to be much different now. So now these are cooked down a little bit. Now, I personally really like my green beans cooked down. I also, this is a lighter green that hasn't been covered yet. I'm also studying to become certified in traditional Chinese medicine when it comes to nutritional therapy. And so the rate at which you cook certain foods can actually impact the way you digest those foods. So I do tend to cook my foods down just a little bit more due to my digestion, and that actually works best for me. That may or may not work best for you, but it's certainly something that I've been studying in the functional medicine nutrition studies that I've had, but also through the traditional Chinese medicine nutritional studies that I've been doing. So I've got this one that I've now taken the top off. And so what I'm going to do with this is, now that I've taken the top off, I've got this kind of in between low and medium since I'm using olive oil. When you're using olive oil, please make it a priority to make sure that you do not go too high with your heat. If you are over medium, then you're too high with the olive oil. It will oxidize, it will damage, and it will become a pro-inflammatory oil. Olive oil in itself is actually anti-inflammatory. So it can actually help to reduce blood pressure, it can help to reduce cholesterol. So if you're using olive oil, you're on a Mediterranean style plan, then that's where you're grabbing your fat from. So it is anti-inflammatory. If you're using it at too high of a heat temp, you're going pro-inflammatory. So you have to be careful with that. So now I'm over here and I've got this one that is still needing to cook down a little bit more. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going with the lid. So I'm going to throw the lid on that. I'm going to give that a good 5 minutes. And on this one that I've taken the lid off, all I'm doing is just kind of making sure it's fully spread across that skillet. So I want all of that fully spread across because I don't want a whole bunch of green beans in there because I personally like the opportunity to be able to get a little bit of browning in there. I feel like Alexa is kind of jamming right now. Do you? Alexa, volume down, please. It's really good, but like sometimes when you listen to classical and it starts to get a little crazy, it's like, holy cow, the volume goes up. So I apologize for that. But that's usually my background music in the morning. So, okay, so could I have 3 bags in here of this? Most definitely. That would not be a problem. I could load it up. I could keep kind of working it. I could have the lid on to really get it cooked down and then take the lid off and then keep it moving around. That would be no problem at all. However, I like a different taste to it. So I like it when I get a little bit of browning on it. So just a little bit of browning on the edges. So the reason that I do just this 1 bag at a time concept is because I want to be able to get that browning. Now, if I don't have time and I'm too busy and I can't do that, then I'll put 3 bags in there. It's no big deal. It's just the option of being able to have a different texture, a different taste. And so if you get to where you're like, I'm so sick of eating green beans, well, then you need to change the way you eat your green beans. You can do it so many different ways. If I have 3 bags in there, it's going to cook one way. If I have the 1 bag and I start to brown things, it's going to cook another way. Now I'm going to show you another way. I'm going to let these cook while I'm showing you this. So our place pans come with these awesome spatulas. And what I think is kind of cool, just before I move on, is that it just sits there and just attaches to that. So it's like it comes with its own spoon rest too. It's such a clever thing. I love these pans. I think they're great. Okay, so I'm going to scoot you guys over to this side now, up close and personal right now. And we'll see if I can do it without actually knocking it over. So what I'm going to do here now is I have sheet cake pans. On the sheet cake pans, I have these parchment sheets. These are the greatest things I think I've ever in my lifetime found in the kitchen. So this is the best invention ever. This keeps your pan from having to be scraped off. And at the end of the day, if these start to brown, it also is a barrier between you and the aluminum. So that's just a thought as well. So I would not suggest using aluminum foil in any way, shape, or form, but this is metal, okay? So it is a barrier between. Now these are unbleached, so I'm just throwing a sheet down. Like I talked about in the beginning of the video, I posted a link to these sheets because every time I post a video and use these sheets, someone messages me, which I'm always happy to answer messages. So please don't take that the wrong way. But I just want you to know the link is on here. You can go order these sheets. Now again, I have my organic green beans that I've thawed overnight. If you do not have time to thaw green beans that are frozen and you're going to bake them, you need to put them in a glass dish with a little bit of water, cover them, and then microwave them to get the freeze off of them. So you do need to, in my opinion, thaw if you're going to do a bake. Again, with the cooktop, not so much. You could get away with not thawing them. So these were my ice packs in my cooler, and now they're thawed, so I'm just spreading them out. I do want to show you, I've only used 3 bags, okay? So this is the size bag, and I've only used 3 bags. And my reasoning, again, is I want this to be spread out well, okay? So I want this to be evenly spread out. So I'm going to throw this one in the oven just to get it rolling. Okay, and then I'm going to spread this other one just so you can see it. So I have this sheet cake liner, and I'm just going to dump these guys on here. And I'm going to spread them out nice and even. I feel like Amber thinks that part of this is for her. She's just recently come by. Unless she's wanting some green beans. Okay, so we'll go for the third. Every bag's sized a little bit different, so you'll just have to figure out what is the right fit for you. Could you do more on here? Absolutely. Just do it yourself and kind of see what you like. You know, I mean, I just like them cooked down a certain way. So this is just my preference to only spread this much. I don't like it when they get too much on top of each other. I really personally like the way they taste. So This is just patience in cooking, right? But the patience in cooking ultimately ends up creating a flavor and a texture that you may enjoy more. And so this is all about just experience and just doing it and just trying different angles and trying different methods so that you get a different texture and a different taste every time you cook. Again, so that you don't say, oh, I'm so sick of eating green beans. Well, don't be sick of eating green beans. Just make your green beans a different way. Now, I want to show you how I use my olive oil. I don't ever salt anything. Personally, I don't salt anything until it's finished being cooked. So I always wait because I want all those minerals from that sea salt, and I don't want to run the risk that something would like cook down. So I'm drizzling my olive oil on here. Give you an idea of how much olive oil I'm using. Okay. And then I just use my hands. I could obviously use my spatula, but I have clean hands right now. So I'm going to just use my hands. And I'm going to make sure that this gets married all the way around it. Now, I do feel that it is important to do this because I want all sides of this green bean to be coated. So this does matter to me. And again, now that I'm doing this, you know, and I've got this oil involved, now my pan has the opportunity to get pretty sloppy. So I'm just trying to save myself time as much as humanly possible. So cleanup and not having to have cleanup, that makes a very big difference to me. So if I can just whip this off and then rinse it off super quick and then dry it super quick and then be done with it, that's a blessing to me. So I'm gonna throw this in the oven, and I'm gonna have 2 of these in the oven at the same time. So this oven here is pretty phenomenal. At home, I have a double oven, which I'm super thankful for as well. But it's kind of cool because this oven, I'm not sure how much you guys can see it. I'm gonna be able to go side by side here, no problem with that sheet cake pan. Now there's a couple racks, so if I wanted to get crazy, I could have 4 I didn't bring 4 sheet cake pans, but I could have 4 sheet cake pans in here at one time. So whatever this oven costs, which I'm sure it's a lot, 4 sheet cake pans at one time just saves me time. So the fact that I'm saving time is a tremendous blessing. So the extra cost of that oven, what does it calculate to over time, and how much time is it saving you? Those are the things that you want to take into consideration when you're thinking about investing in something, is there's more to it. You know, it isn't just about the brand, or it isn't just about the fact that it's a gas cooktop. It's about how much time can you save. If I can make 4 sheet cake pans full of vegetables at the same exact time in one oven, and I may have 2 ovens, I can literally cook my entire week's worth of vegetables at the same exact time. Not to mention I've got cooktops I'm working with. So sure, something like this might cost you $6,000 to $10,000, but if you really calculate the amount of time that saves you, and you could be earning an hourly rate during that amount of time, hey, over the next 5 years, you might pay for your extra amount of money that you put into that oven. So if you're building a house or if you're reconstructing a house, this is something you may want to take into consideration. I am redoing my kitchen right now in order to have a little bit more space for my bakery. And I ordered a Z-Line gas range. The cost on it was substantially less. And I had been researching them for quite a while, and it's a 6-burner cooktop, and it has a double oven, the little oven, and then that oven, the bigger oven. And I have double ovens at home too. But that Z-Line is really a good brand, and I have a couple people that I know that have one in their vacation houses, and they have both told me that they really like the oven, that it's a great oven. So I took the chance in spending the $4,500, $5,000 with the hood versus spending $12,000 to $15,000, because I just simply didn't have a budget for $12,000 to $15,000. I wish I could, to do the Wolf or to do the Viking. So the Z-Line is a possibility as well. Okay, now I'm going to show you where we're at with these. These were the ones I left uncovered. See where we're at here? See kind of some of the browning that we're getting? Now I'm going to finish with my lid back on with those. And the reason I'm doing that is because I do, again, remember, I just like them softer. I like them a little bit more cooked down. Those would be a little bit crunchier, a little bit like you would still not, certainly not, it's certainly not going to be like you blanched them because they've been cooked enough, but they would have a little bit more crunch to them. If that's what you like, that's what you do. Again, remember that with that traditional Chinese medicine theory, and I'm going, down that route with my digestion and with my studies, I'm cooking my food down a little bit more now. So I've got this one that has been cooking, and it's been in the covered state. And can you see the brown little bits that are kind of coming up in some of those? I love those. Those are the best ones in the bundle. They are so tasty. Now, you do not want something charred, okay? This is a bad deal. You do not want your food to be charred. That is toxic. That is very toxic. This is a little bit browned. That's a different situation than it being charred, okay? Now, in the oven, I've got these in here at 325. Both of those green beans are in there at 325. So I'm going to set a timer. And in 30 minutes, I'm going to go back in there. I'm going to pull those guys out. I'm going to put a little bit more olive oil on them. I'm going to roll them around. And I'm going to bake those for about another 15 minutes. Patience in cooking. Just a little bit of patience can make the taste so much better, guys. I mean it really can. So if you just really take your time and you put a little bit of extra effort into this, all of this is getting all my green beans done, right? Like I'm getting it all done, and I'm getting it all done at one time, one fell swoop. But if I didn't take the time to put the lids on, and I wasn't moving, and I wasn't kind of doing it like this, and then bringing it back out, putting a little more oil on it, then it may not be the taste or the texture or the desire of which I would like. And then I may not enjoy my food as much. And so that will keep you guys from getting stuck in that same boring, consistent regimen where it's steamed green beans and you're so sick of them. This changes it up. This spices it up. This gives you just a little bit more flavor. I'm hoping that this has blessed you guys. Now, why do I go back in there with more oil? Because the oil evaporates. It's literally gone. When I'm doing nutrition for someone, they have a mandatory quality fat that they have to add to each of their meals because fat is what helps the blood sugar to remain stable. That's what keeps your blood sugar from falling, and that's what keeps your blood sugar from spiking. Fat and protein. So the olive oil is going to be the fat in my meal in this case, and I have to make sure that I'm eating olive oil, that it didn't just evaporate off. So I go back in and I roll some more olive oil on there, 15 more minutes. Then when I take it out of the oven, I'm putting my sea salt all over it. The sea salt that I use is Celtic sea salt because it's fully mineralized. And then we're getting a combo of sodium, but sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium chloride. So that's very important. I'm really hoping that this has been super beneficial for you guys. And I just want to remind you to take a look at our Facebook coming soon, because we are going to be posting a message cueing you in on a new program that we're going to be doing after the first of the year that is called Faith, Fuel, and Fitness, the Integrity Way. And there will be cooking demonstrations, there will be workouts, and there will be nutrition, motivation, and discipline talks. And it will be a monthly subscription that you can be part of. And we're really going to try to put our heart and soul into it. We feel that God has led us to do this, and we're just going to try to bless people on every level that we can. Whether we can meet with them one-on-one, whether we can meet with them as a group, whether we can meet with them in a corporation, or maybe we can offer something like a subscription so that people all over the country that we may not be able to meet with, we may never know them in our lifetime, can still get this quality information and be able to start a lifestyle of clean eating. Your food can make such a dramatic impact on how you feel, on your mood, on your relationships, on your work ethic, on the quality of work that you produce. Sustainability in your energy comes down to what you're fueling yourself with. All right, so I hope that you guys will catch up with us when we do that after the first of the year. My husband and I are going to do a video this week, and we're going to explain it to you and just help you guys to understand it. God bless you, and thank you so much for listening.